first off, what you make of the speech, which seems to be quite rambling. He's talking about many, many different things, one of which was that he has brought the country together. Has he?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me. You don't feel united? I mean, there's just unity everywhere. I mean, just look at Minnesota. They look united. No, I mean, the president said lots of different things there. You know, he said he had plenty of time for religion. Like, look, I hope the president has a long life, but, I don't know if we have plenty of time. I'll say the word God. He said no one says the word God. I say the word God. I believe in God. So, I mean, look, the president's going off script. He likes to have fun with that. It's always a joy to watch when he goes off script. There's someone backstage, taking a shot every time he goes off script. But look, this is part of the deal that we get with him.
Last night, and you just brought it up too, he was reminded of the chaos his immigration crackdown has caused in Minnesota after federal agents killed 2 citizens. Trump last night or yesterday acknowledged that Alex Peretti and Renee Good should not have been killed, as he put it. And you Democrats aren't satisfied with words. You're demanding that DHS Secretary Kristi Noem be removed from office. And I know that you said this, but I want our audience to see how you put things, asking for Trump to bring back his alter ego from The Apprentice to deal with Noem. Listen.
We need Apprentice Trump. Where is that guy? Look, let me remind him who he used to be real quick.
You're fired. 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 You're all fired. All 4 are fired.
Where is that guy? What happened to him?
Now, look, Donald Trump has shown no signs that he is going to fire Noem. So what are you willing to do about it?
Well, look, I think Noem the secretary should be either resign, remove, or eventually impeached. And I think if we do that, we need to set up a process for that. I mean, first, let me address the video. What is so strange is that the president made a living off of getting rid of the weakest link of a team. People tuned in. He made millions of dollars. It was a very popular show. And now somehow someone convinced him that firing people is now weakness. I mean, imagine The Apprentice if nobody got fired. He would be surrounded by worthless, useless people, and the show would have been canceled in a year. It's probably why his current ratings are down. And so, look, she's the weakest member of his team. Not a single Republican in the House, not a single Republican in the Senate is going to the TV to defend her. Some of these policies I don't agree with, but let's use just, Republican metrics. She's behind on building the wall. She's deported less people than Barack Obama. She's not sending any FEMA money out. I mean, so by what success does she have for the president of the United States? If you're the president and these are your policies, some of which I disagree with, if these are your policies, where's her success? So, look, that's why he's now buried her. He's moved her aside. Holman has come into Minnesota. He had a cabinet meeting the other day. He didn't even let her speak. Fire her, Mr. President. It's what made you popular on that show.
Look, President Trump will argue, look, the border is quiet. There are certainly not the number of people coming in that came in during the Biden administration. Do you think that he has done a good job when it comes to that section of his immigration crackdown?
Yes, I think what's going on at the border is definitely an improvement over the last 4 years. There's no doubt about that. But that's not because Noem goes down there and wears a different hat every press conference, right? That's because of policies. That has nothing to do with her. Everything she's touched is not going well. I mean, just go ask red states trying to get their FEMA reimbursement after major disasters or their Homeland Security grants. Go talk to some of these people in Homeland, right? Remember, there's 22 different departments in Homeland. None of them are doing well. Go ask the Secret Service how they're doing under Secretary Noem. There was a FEMA council that was set up to do FEMA reforms. They were supposed to issue a report. The White House had to cancel her final meeting because her report was a disaster. That report has never been issued. So there's just no wins for her anywhere. And I think the American people want to turn the page. It's why you see, Senator Tillis, Senator Murkowski, Senator Collins all saying she should be fired. It's why you see Senator Kennedy saying he's happy Tom Homan is in charge. It's why you see Congresswoman Malliotakis saying all options should be on the table of who runs that department, right? And it's why you saw John Thune, the leader of the Senate, say that, well, it's up to the president if he wants to keep her. That's a nice dodge, John. Not a real, not real confidence in the secretary.
Congressman Jared Moskowitz, always fiery from you early in the morning. Thank you so much for joining us. There are a lot of serious issues, though.
It's the coffee.
It's the coffee. Yeah, well, I need some of what you're drinking.